And welcome back to the movie breakdown. I am the photographer Paul, my co-host Ivan Carlos.
What's going on, guys?
So, we are reviewing The King of Staten Island, directed by Judd Apatow and starring our wonderful, incredible upcoming star actor just
Pete
Pete
Davidson.
Pete Davidson. And Pete has co-writing on it along with Judd Apatow being the head writer. But from what I've
He's
read,
definitely had quite the surgence of his career.
oh yeah, yeah.
It's multifaceted. Like he had the whole thing with Ariana. He's obviously hilarious and on Saturday Night Live.
I'm
And
still
now
really
this
concerned
movie with
about the
Judd.
dude. I personally am still concerned about him. I just hope he doesn't take his life
Oh, I
because
mean, I agree. I don't want anyone to do that.
I know, but I don't know if he's like I don't know. I know he's not like poor for like money, but I don't know if he's like stuck like in the middle because like he literally lives with his parents, and he doesn't have like a money problem. You know, it's I don't know if it's a mental block. Like he
Yeah,
does.
I don't. That could also be more indicative of like how he was raised, and you know what I mean. Like it might not have anything to do with like anything negative about who he is.
Oh yeah, I know.
It might, you know what I mean?
And the reason why I brought that up is because it's kind of what the whole story is about. Because he wrote
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's completely true. Yeah, the
and
whole movie's about him kind of being a piece of shit.
right
Well, not
and
actually. Warning.
well we all grow up and
Yeah.
the story is actually basically him telling what happened to his father and with a lot of um dramatization added to it. So as everyone knows that listens to the show, we give our ratings first. So my actor, my co-host,
We
what's your rating for The King of Staten Island?
For the King of Staten Island, out of 5 stars, I will give it a. You know what? I'll give it like a solid 4.
Okay.
I'll give it a solid 4 because I think it was a very charming movie and it wasn't my favorite film that I've ever seen. And I think that there were a couple of moments that sort of fell flat for me, but overall, I think it was very charming. It was very funny, and
Are you
I felt convinced by everyone. I felt like I was really witnessing good performance from pretty much everyone in the movie. I never really felt
No, I think that
upset
the
at anything.
performance. I think there wasn't a bad performance in the piece. Are you giving it a 4 star to be honest? Because it's basically the first release in three months, which is almost incredible that it's the literally has its own premiere. It literally has a world premiere by itself. So there hasn't been
Yeah,
a
wow.
there
You
hasn't
know,
been
I don't know if I even want to give it a 4 because a 4 is very generous. Maybe a 3.5 is more accurate,
okay.
but I feel like a 3.5 is also like if we could do like 0.25s, if that were something we were doing, I'd say
You can do whatever you
3.75.
want, man.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying just to for continuity's sake on how we rate
Sure.
movies, I'll say final answer 3.5.
Okay.
I did laugh at a couple. The second half of the movie I thought was a little bit more successful than the first. Regarding like entertaining me, the first half I think was really great at obviously introducing the characters. Like we start the movie off with this really odd like Pete Davidson driving his car with his eyes closed. Like obviously he's suicidal. Obviously he's going through something. And I thought that was a really smart way of starting the movie because
I was
I'm
really
automatically
concerned.
interested.
I was really concerned with that scene. Like when we started the movie off that way, I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna like this movie. Like he's already trying to
Oh,
kill
interesting.
himself,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that Pete deals with that, and like, you know,
Yeah, it was probably a very honest and genuine portrayal of a part of his life.
well
But
the scary part is that he was actually asked the question if he ever did that in real life, and he honestly admitted that he had done that in real life.
yeah, I mean that's insane. That's crazy.
Uh,
That's terrifying because he's definitely not the only one, and we'll never know who's doing it because for the most part, I'm sure people don't actually crash into anyone, but then there also are those people who do. So then that's the issue.
Right.
But yeah, but for character development wise, I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was a very strong way to start the film. But then certain things, specifically with like introducing um the his new stepdad, um crap,
I've
what's
got
his
the
character
whole
name?
cast here. So the of
It's
course it
Bill
reboot.
Burr.
Yeah, Bill Moore. Bill. Yeah. Um.
I just can't find him on the IMDb
Yeah.
list.
Bill Burr. Bill Burr is. He
He plays
plays
Ray. He
Ray.
plays Ray. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so Ray's character, I thought that it was a little not Bill Burr's portrayal. I actually really liked Bill Burr in the movie, but
I can't stand
the
his
whole
beard.
like,
I can't stand
I was
his.
okay with it. Oh, you mean the mustache?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they even joke about it. I thought that was funny.
But
I just
he
didn't.
just I agree with you. I agree in the movie he looks like a pedophile. So.
Damn. But like the whole thing with Pete giving his kid a tattoo, and then like that's how he. I was okay with that. I was okay with that, but then all of a
Well,
sudden
we're gonna talk about this. So.
Everyone's okay with Pete Davidson because Ray's trying to, you know, get in cahoots with mom, and like that's a fine choice, I guess. But
It came off so creepy, dude. It came off so.
it just came off a little contrived. It came off a little not how the real world works. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
just came
like
off as
why
like,
would she just turn a switch? Like women don't
well,
turn switches.
not even that. Just specifically with Pete, I'm okay with him using. I'm okay with the relationship between Bill Burr and Marissa Tomei. I think her name is Marissa.
Mm-hmm.
Who plays Pete's mom?
Yeah.
Who I also thought was phenomenal. I thought she had very
Oh,
strong moments.
she's an incredible actress.
She's so good. She's so good.
I don't think she's ever won an Academy Award, and she's absolutely deserving of one. She's
Yes,
an
she's
incredible.
very talented. She played a very honest portrayal of a mother, and especially because I've seen my mom in similar circumstances, and I felt very satisfied. I believed her every step of the way. But specifically with Bill Burr then loving Pete Davidson because he's trying to embrace him to be a good person to then ultimately getting good with the mom. Like that was cool, but it just kind of like, why was it that Pete gave his kid a tattoo? Because that's like predatory. That's jail. Like that's just really weird. And I'm curious, do you know if that's something that actually happened?
No, I haven't heard anything behind that, and me watching that scene was so cringy. I just felt like the character really wanted to go to jail, because like I can't sit there and watch it and really think that even a coked out kid would think that it's okay to do that to a kid. Like
Oh yeah,
his
well, I mean, it's indicative of a person who doesn't care about their own life, definitely.
like he said that his defense comeback was the kid said it was okay. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
No kid. It doesn't matter that the kid said it was okay. No kid that has the right. Oh, it's just like, what?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with your logic.
I'm like, Pete, you can't. Pete, come on, Pete. Like seriously, like.
It's just unfortunately for me, it didn't read as comedy. It just read as like
I
a
know.
really weird thing that he did.
It's
and even his friend
it's
like
the Apatow
the
thing.
from Disney Channel, the guy from Disney Channel, what's his name? He plays Moises, I think, or is that Moises is his name?
Yeah, he goes as Igor. Igor.
Yeah. Moist, but he had a great moment where like they're all sitting and he's watching this happen. He's like, dude, stop. And he like is having this internal struggle of like, am I more forceful? No. Yes. I don't know. I'm really uncomfortable. And then the moment's over because it's already started.
And then
I really appreciated his acting in that moment too.
And his scene with the tattoos were really good. They were so funny.
Yes. Absolutely. But then that's another moment that kind of fell flat for me. Was when they revealed the tattoos that
just looked like shit.
Yeah,
like
so that
the one where he messed up the president, and I'm like, I'm like, well, maybe if he just finished it, it wouldn't look so bad because to me, it looks like if he just finished it. I didn't like.
Absolutely, and they made it seem like that Pete was gonna give him one tattoo, but then they have this like again this contrived montage of Bill Burr's character.
So you agree that that was like misleading? Because I thought Bill's character said that he could give him one tattoo, and then at the end, there's literally like
And his
12.
entire back is covered with trash tattoos that he doesn't even want. So like that was, I know that that was meant to be funny, but
But that also
it,
makes
it, it
Bill.
was kind of the moment was jumbled. There was too much going on.
Well, I
It
know, and it
was
made Bill sound.
funny tattoos that weren't really that funny, and then the super meaningful tattoo that meant everything. And it was kind of just like, and then I was like, wait, how old is this character again?
I think
Like
he's
what
supposed
the?
to be 26, 27.
Yeah. So there was just a lot of,
That's
I
why I'm
think,
really concerned about Pete.
forced.
That's why I'm really concerned Pete in real life because like he could really go down like a path of like really great movies and be Adam Sandler, or he could fall down the other path. So what I was saying is, This is where I'm really concerned about Pete in general because Pete could be Adam Sandler, or he could go down the path and become like a one-time wonder, and that's what I'm concerned about because he has some jokes that hit like really really good, and then he has some jokes that are just like baffled. Like it's like you must have been on coke when you wrote that, dude, because it just it doesn't it doesn't even make sense. And that's the scary part. And if you recognize it too, so it's not like I'm just looking at it as a, you
Well,
know,
I mean, we've already talked about the fact that Judd Apatow is credited for writing.
right.
So I mean, I don't know how to respond. I'm sure Pete Davidson has his own crosses to bear, like he's going through whatever he's going through, and I don't know him, so I don't want to say that I'm particularly worried about him. But I will say that I think it's really cool that he like openly shared a story that is really difficult. Like growing up without a dad, dude, like that's insane. And then growing up without a dad because he was a hero and died on, our nation's most like infamous day. Like I feel you.
It's that whole
I really
generation.
enjoyed that the movie was made because it gave a unique perspective to an issue that I think that a lot of people don't really think about. And that's why, like, and the message behind that part of the movie, like, with all the guys at the fire station saying, "Hey, like, what did you think? What was the first thing you thought when you found out that this guy died?" And Bill Burr is like, "That I wondered if he had kids." And then at that point, they take him in. I was curious as to whether or not he was going to become a firefighter. I'm glad that it didn't end with that because I feel like that would have been a little too one to one, a little too on the nose.
Yeah, because
Um,
I don't think the story has a happy ending because he's still the damaged child. He can't erase what happened. He can't take the tattoos off his body. They still don't think that his tattoo restaurant idea is going to be successful. In all sincerity, it could be successful if they really, you know, think it out. There are people that like that gruesome stuff. That's why horror movies do so well. I mean, if horror movies didn't do well, then you wouldn't have slashers. I mean, so I think that with right planning, a restaurant like that would probably be really cool.
yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I liked the message behind it. I thought that it was really nicely done. There were some moments that fell flat, but overall, I was pleased with the acting. I was pleased with the characters, um, and it made me more interested to see what else he has to offer, specifically with Pete Davidson. Just because he's so young, but
Mm-hmm.
he's already been granted an enormous amount of like creative outlet because he has the story to back it up. Like he has an interesting story that a lot of people want to hear, and he's able to take that pain and own it and do what a lot of other very influential comics do, and he makes it funny. He turns his pain into laughter, and that is an incredibly like interesting and like I don't want to say convoluted, but like that's a phenomenal power to have, and it's kind of odd, but it genuinely brings me enjoyment. So that's kind of where I'm stuck, because I'm like, damn, like I'm really enjoying this movie, but this is about a person's life and it actually happened, and this character is actually really going through these things. So then ultimately, I just felt satisfied as an actor, because I'm literally watching this person realistically portray a real situation that's happened in a way that brings me entertainment. Like he's literally just doing his job, and I enjoyed it. 3.5 stars.
I'm with you. When you said 4, I was gonna hum and haw over you, but I'm 3.5 all the way.
Cool.
I think that it has a very good story. I like that they didn't end the story with a cupcake and fireworks and like everything is good.
But they kind of did. They ended the story on a realistic.
He still has no job.
No.
He's no.
He's like become mentally aware that he needs to be better, and that's everything.
Yeah, but that doesn't
like
guarantee. But in New York, dude, in general, that doesn't guarantee you life. That doesn't guarantee you job. He's basically still gonna live off his girlfriend, and that's if she gets the job, you know. And he had the girl, and he had the girl the entire time.
There's a new page starting. The
right
movie ends with him realizing that there's something to be done. He has not been living his best life, and that's something that needs to change.
Correct.
And that's the first step in finding the job and supporting yourself as an independent person. You know what I mean? Like it all.
No,
however long it's gonna
we are on the same page. I fundamentally disagree that we need to make sure that he joins the fire department, because I was very against that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think that he needs to at all. I was saying I'm glad that they didn't do that.
Exactly.
That would have been a little too one-to-one, a little too repetitious. But they probably could have found a way to make it work, honestly, because it would have made sense. Like obviously the kid who lost his dad being a firefighter is going to want to be a firefighter, maybe.
Yeah, but I also think that he has his own path that he needs to, because he had no mentor for 20 years. So just
no
being
male mentor, yeah.
Yeah. So I really don't think that, I think that's just a fallback. I am very interested what our colleagues in the industry think. They're basically saying that the movie is pretty good. Rotten Tomato critically is 72%. IMDb is 7.2%. So that's kind of interesting that the first movie to come out in 3 months is getting pretty good wide release comments. So
well, I mean, it is a good movie though. That's the thing.
I know, but it also it's being put on more. If this movie was slated to release at the same time in normal release, it would have not gotten the attention that it did now, because if you looked at the slate of movies, Top Gun was going to come out and Black Widow was coming out. There was a lot of big movies that would have hid this movie. So this movie really did get a lot of attention that it would have not gotten if it wasn't for the pandemic. So it's
yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I can completely understand why you and others would think that and say that. So I mean, I don't know if that's true, but like who knows? Maybe if the pandemic didn't happen and the movie came out, it still would have gotten the 7.5. You know what I mean?
I don't think it affects. I don't think it affects the score, but I think it allowed more people to see it. What I'm trying to express is that
I see.
That the score doesn't reflect the pandemic. It just reflects that it's a good movie, and I think more people saw it because of it.
I see. You're probably very right. Everybody's kind of bored looking for things to stream.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing with Tiger King. Tiger King is a good thing, but I don't think 22 million people would have seen it. So
if it weren't for COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you could be very right in that.
The other thing that I love is that they really took advantage of the entire island. They went to the ball field. They went and they did a lot of on location shoots. They actually did that. It must have been a firehouse where they actually started a fire, and that was cool because
Oh, yeah, that scene was great.
yeah.
And ultimately, after watching the movie, I have a refreshed appreciation for firefighters.
Oh yeah, it's a very dangerous job. Have you ever seen Backdraft? It's an
Backdrop.
80s. It's a 90s movie.
Then probably not.
Oh my god, dude. So Backdrop is about a fireman and how dangerous the job is and how um a void actually occurs during fires when it gets hot enough, and then it actually causes a backdraft, and it actually will explode. So if you're ever at a fire and windows start popping out, it might not be the fireman, it might be the actual heat that's starting to explode the windows. It's so
Dang.
fascinating.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So
All right, so then what did you think about the movie cinematographically? Is that a word? Cinematographically?
well, that's one of the things that I really like. I was saying, I love how they really incorporated the entire island of Staten Island, and I love how they really try to demonstrate constantly that they are just a small little potack town compared to New York City, and New York City is right there. And I loved how they tried to explain that the entire island is depressed. Like they went to the playground that was a hospital that had been closed, and like there's grass growing everywhere, and they have couches sitting there, and they really had, in my point, that from a cinema from a shooting perspective, they demonstrated that Staten Island is very sad place to live because of economic situation. And if you really want to make a living for yourself, you have to go to Manhattan, and you can't stay there. And they really did, in my opinion, from a video perspective, demonstrate that Pete wants to stay here. Like when they shot that opening scene in the basement, he's very comfortable. Like everything is the way, like they
Yeah, he's
demonstrate,
home.
right. Like he's got a girl that he can just go over and have sex with. She just puts up with it. You know, he's
Yeah.
never pushed. He's never pushed to go outside the lines until he gets his waiter job. Um, I do. I just maybe it's just a personal like thing. I really hated Bill's character. Like he comes in and tells him that like he needs to like do more stuff, and he's
Yeah, no,
what
it's that
15
the
years older than
stepdad
him.
relationship is so odd.
Yeah.
It's odd.
Like I really
But
wanted to
yeah.
punch Bill in the face. But,
Well, Pete tried.
right, I know. I was so happy for him, but like he didn't. And and from I thought the fight was a perfect thing because he loses the Bill. I mean, it fits his character so much that
Yeah.
even during the fight that he loses the Bill because he really is that pathetic, because if he
Yeah, I wish that he would have blown up more. I wish that there would have been. I'm glad that his character respected his woman's like word when she said stop talking. I'm gonna do it. But like his little monologue where he just kept talking. I wish that could have. I wish that there was more of a build. I wish that we got to see the actual like bad side of his character because honestly we didn't really get to. We heard how he was an asshole and how he didn't want to be around his kids, but that was from his ex-wife. Like we never really saw Bill do anything bad. We only saw him save someone's life, taken his like woman's adult son, in the firehouse. You know what I mean? Like he was a very like understanding and like nice person in my opinion.
Well, see, and that's the thing from the they shot it that way, but I also really felt that Bill was a shitty ass, horrible um um husband, and he was a horrible father because
And
I
he's
mean
stupid.
you
He's
you
betting
don't
on the Jets.
like he sent someone he barely knows to make sure his kids go to school. Like that's a piece of shit. I mean that's just
Yeah, yeah. Stretch thin.
right. I mean
Absolutely.
like I don't know what other way to describe it. Like you don't care about your kids in any way.
Yeah,
So
but then even towards the end, he has a conversation with his son. He's walking. He's like, "Look, I know that I haven't been handling this the right way, and I'm sorry." And it wasn't like this like big dramatic moment, but like that's not always what it is, you know. I thought that it was a very accurate portrayal of what a father probably is, but I also don't really know because
I
that's
I
my experience.
struggle I
So
struggle with that scene. See, now that's a scene that I would struggle with because to me, those kids at that age won't have the capability of having a conversation like that. So,
I don't know.
no, I'm just saying, like, a typical child that age wouldn't be able to communicate on that level in that detail. Like, I just felt that that scene was written
What
for
did he
old.
say?
Like, he was saying, like, he really helped me with my
My
character
drawing.
with the drawing, and then he
Yeah.
pulled it out, and you know, and he asked his daughter if he was a creep, and she's like, no, he's a really nice person.
I don't think his daughter's in that scene. I think it's just him and his son.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because I rewatched it this morning. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Just because like I remember he asked this kid like, "Oh, is he a creep?" And he's like, "No, he's actually really nice." He asked me how I am, and then
That's the
his
thing
dad
that
asked
I
him,
don't
"How do
think
you
a
say?" And then
kid.
he was like,
That's what I'm thinking is like a kid that age wouldn't be able to like fundamentally understand that. I just thought it was a stretch, but it's
"Yeah,
heartwarming.
maybe." Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know how old the kid is. I wasn't bothered by it at all. I really enjoyed it. Um,
So you asked the question. I think that it was definitely shot on a budget. I don't know if you noticed that, but it was definitely shot on like there was a lot of hand holding, a lot of steady cam. Um, they
cool.
definitely like they rented out physical houses. They didn't. There wasn't a lot of like sets. That I could you notice a lot of sets because I don't think there was
Yeah,
that.
no, they filmed in Staten Island, I'm sure, so they just kind of went around Staten Island.
That's
They
what I'm
probably didn't
thinking.
need the budget. It was more of a passion project than a big budget project.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think it's the best shot, but I think it's the most realistic portrayal of a current 2020 9/11 victim child living in Staten Island today. I think it's the most I think that anyone that if their father did die in 9/11, this would probably be the byproduct. Someone who's extremely devastated and damaged in so many ways. And the mother is probably a typical Staten Island, New York woman trying her hardest, working very hard. And she probably would.
And sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead. No.
Sorry.
We didn't even mention his sister, who I think is just
Yeah,
incredible. And she's like such like a second mom, and the
the women in
actress.
this film are phenomenal
Oh,
characters. They're all incredibly
the
strong.
women honestly steal the entire role. Like to be honest, if it wasn't for the women, they casted the right group of women. If it wasn't for the cast of women, this movie is nothing, because the men, in my opinion, bring nothing to this movie.
Oh, dude, I disagree, but that's cool.
Okay.
But I do think that I do agree with you when you say that well, I said it. I think that the females in this movie are phenomenal. I think that his girlfriend is a beautiful example of a person who just wants to see their community be better, and them using their skills to improve upon their community for themselves and for their friends and for their family. I thought that was a sick role, and she was funny. A couple of the jokes were a little flat, but like ultimately, very funny person.
Mm-hmm.
His sister also, like she's leaving. I felt really bad for her character because then we have Pete Davidson like manipulating her and saying that she's not a part of the family because she's, leaving to better herself. So that was a hard character
It
arc
was really
for Pete, but
to me
accurate
the
potentially.
the fire captain. He goes as Pete, but his real name is Steven.
Yeah.
He's a famous comic actor, and I thought he did an incredible job. He's the one of the if I was gonna have a standout male actor, I thought he did a phenomenal job because someone had to be the adult, and it was nice to see. I thought the
The cast was sick in general. Like you had Steve Buscemi.
I know.
Steve Buscemi in the ensemble of actors. Like that was sick. Once I saw, I was like, this movie is amazing. He has a community of brilliant creatives behind him for this project because they believed in the script, and that's all that it is. Like the concept of the movie sold itself, and they all wanted to be a part of it because they all saw vibrant, real, honest characters who deserve to be, remembered.
But Steve couldn't be his normal wacky self. It was nice to see Steve play the
Oh yeah, but Steve
play
is
the adult.
bro. Steve Buscemi is a monster.
Oh, I know, but like it was so nice to see him play the adult, and then I love how they introduced him by they basically just randomly went to the. I love the joke was that he has season tickets for the Yankees, but it's for the minor league Yankees, and I love how he was bitching and moaning like it was such a big deal, like, and then I love that they just happened to sit down, and that's where Steve's sitting there, and Steve see and then the cliff notes, we find out that he knew his father. That was, and I did. It was really nice to see them. It really explained because, I assumed that the guys that they were there for so long, they had to have had some interaction with their father. It just to me, it made no sense. I mean, if they'd been on the force for 30 years, if they didn't have any interaction with the father, that would just be weird.
True.
So, like I said, I'm going to give it a 3.5. Yvonne Carlos is giving it a 3.5. What do you think for the acting? Do you think it was worth?
Yeah, I mean,
worth?
that's what I think. This movie is a prime example of a solid concept with solid characters and solid acting, and that's ultimately because at the end of the day, what probably gravitated everyone to this project was the fact that it was a very real and tender and heartfelt story, and these actors wanted to be a part of telling it. You know what I mean? And some of the characters were bigger, obviously, than the others, but like even with like the small roles with like Steve Buscemi, he still had a gold mine of text and the things that he said. And I can't remember if it was Steve Buscemi's character or if it was the captain who like told him, dude, like just like when are you gonna ease off of him? When are you gonna like they all have opinions, they all had something to say, and I thought that was great. Where the movie fell short for me or fell flat was there was a little bit of contrived plot devices going on just to continue moving the plot forward, and I understand that needs to happen sometimes, but it seemed a little unnatural. It seemed a little forced, a little pushed, and
it
kind of pulled me out. It was kind of like a wonky stick shift watching this movie because like there was times where I was really zooming through and like, wow, that's hilarious, that's so sad, like I'm really feeling this movie, and then some weird like thing that I don't think would ever happen in the real world happened.
Yeah, there are four.
Maybe that's my misattribution to what real life is because I don't know how biographical this movie is. So what
Well,
if
Pete
they
did
really
that.
did give this kid
If
a
Pete really
tattoo in the woods?
gave a kid a tattoo, then he's a moron. Okay, because I mean that's, but there are four scenes that are just, they need to be written another way to get, because they basically want Pete to get to the firehouse because that's the end
There needs
goal.
to be a better flow. Yeah, there needs to be a better flow.
Because that's how I'm looking at it. Because it's the tattoo scene with the child, it's the scene with him hitting on the mother, it's him walking the kids randomly, and then Pete then asking the mother for dirt. Those four scenes need to be rewritten in a way that just like, because I don't see how those scenes like in real life go down, because I would think that you would just call the cops for the tattoo, and then like maybe in New York they would just deal with it face to face, but that seems like something you would do in the 50s. Like today you would just like sue the fucker. um
Yeah.
I I don't know. But
But your question regarding acting, I think that the movie was acted very well,
okay.
and it was entertaining, and there were some moments that I didn't quite believe in, but ultimately, I thought that it had a very charming nature, a very uplifting nature, that I found attractive. Um,
Is there
and it
is there anything in this movie that would be really good for anyone who's learning to act that they could look
that
on?
they I think that that's a great question, and I think that there actually is a lot, like it's a lot of like biographical work is so interesting because you're playing yourself, or you're playing someone that you know or may not know but actually existed, and that kind of work is interesting because I think the stakes are a little bit higher, because if people don't believe you and they don't believe what you're saying, you're automatically written off and you're not giving an effective performance. And that's with anything. That's with anything that any actor ever does. But I think that it's more important to be to not push and to just allow the text to come out, and for it to be almost like a re-experience of it. Because if it's not that, then it's probably contrived, which is a lot of the issues that I've had with the script. So I would say, you're watching this as an actor and you want to take what they did and bring it into your own craft, I would say really focus on watching how Pete doesn't really, like, when he emotes, he's emoting obviously, but like he's very flat. He's very flat, and that's probably because of an awareness of who he is as a person and how he actually is and how he talks, and he delivers his text in the way that he would deliver the words in real life because he knows himself. So kind of really paying attention to like the natural nuance of how people talk, and not pushing to find something or pushing for an emotion that isn't completely necessary. If that makes any sense, I'm kind of babbling now.
No, I the scene that I think really worked for Pete's advantage on that specifically is the opening scene where they're making fun of his father dying, and he goes from like
Absolutely.
pan face to like ha 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 ha. Um, so
And he really relied on his fellow actors in that scene to kind of add to the awkwardness of the whole thing. Like, you know what I mean?
yes,
And then at the end, they're all like, "Yeah, no, it's terrible. We don't fucking do that." Like, obviously, but we're friends, so we just laugh at it to help. It's like it was a full moment with ebbs and flows, and I appreciated it.
I thought it was a good way to explain his trauma right away. So we jump right in. Sometimes
And I think, sorry, keep going.
no, I think a good director, when you have a story and you don't need a lot of um, epilogue and you don't need a lot of stretching. When you can just jump in and understand what's going on right away, it's the best way to tell it.
Totally. I also really liked the amount of detail that they put into his relationship with his girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and her saying, why are we a secret? And he's like trying to explain it, but he doesn't really know how. And then ultimately, at the end of the movie, he reveals that he's in love with her, and he just didn't really know how to, deal with that and feel that. And I don't know. how frequently that happens, but I saw that moment and I felt really touched by it, and I thought that was very honest. So
Oh
I
yeah,
just I just felt like I was watching real people have a real heartfelt connection with each other throughout the movie. So
yeah.
I appreciated that.
All right. So, anything else you want to recap?
Nah, well done to the cast and crew of
Yeah,
King of Staten
absolutely.
Island.
I would definitely agree. Great job to the entire back end crew for shooting this on the island. Clearly, it was shot last summer. It was. I thought it was done really well. I would assume it was shot in a very quick time frame, just based on if you look. Um, they I don't think they had a lot of pickup shots because, it definitely was still summer the entire time. When you do a shot like that, you only have about 6 to 8 weeks of good summer. So, I think they did a really good job of shooting it quickly. So, and it didn't damage the project in any way. So.
True.
Okay, so for myself, Paul, the photographer, and Ivan Carlos, the actor, this has been our review of The King of Staten Island. Not going to do deuces?
Oh, I thought I didn't want to cut you off for the millionth time. Hey, y'all, deuces. Thanks for listening.
There we go. Okay.